Hi, this is Jessie Ann Nichols George, and I wanted to discuss with you something that's really, really appropriate right now for the seasons and the cycles and things that we're dealing with. We are on top of a full moon right now, and we are moving also into a new seasonal year, which starts with the spring equinox, and that's coming up in a few days. So as we do this, we're really opening up to needing to end cycles and to begin cycles. And one of the things people do, especially when times get a little bit tense or a little bit tough, is that they will go ahead and they will try to lock onto things. They'll try to resist finishing things. A lot of people are afraid when they finish cycles, right? But what I'm going to talk about today is a process of surrendering. And this is a really exciting process when we look at it, because most people go, well, if I surrender, that means I just give up. That's what we're programmed. If you surrender, you give up and you're weak and you have no power and all of these things. But what most people don't know is surrendering is a fantastic process of empowering ourselves. Surrendering is actually a process of merging with divine will, with divine essence, and trusting the great creative source. So when we do this, we actually allow ourselves to complete cycles and begin brand new cycles. And I love that, because when we open to new cycles, and the only way we can fully open to them is to allow other cycles to close off, just like winter closes off and spring comes in and it gives us a whole new life and a whole new realm of things to look at and to do and possibilities that we can explore. We also want to embrace that in our own lives. So the surrendering process, what happens when we're not surrendering? We're fighting, we're resisting, we're butting up against everything. And when we do that, what we're doing is we're keeping ourselves locked into external processes, right? The things that we don't like. We don't like that we're not making enough money, or we don't like that a relationship isn't working, or we don't even have a relationship in our life, or things like this, or we can't seem to make the breakthroughs, or we can't get our health where we want it to get. Whatever it is for you. When we're doing these things, what's happening is we're keeping them locked and we're keeping them frozen, just like winter. We're keeping it frozen in the outside world. And sometimes we need to do that because we have so much that we're dealing with that we can only handle one thing at a time, right? Some people can't multitask, so they just do one thing at a time, which is actually a whole nother topic for me to address, because it is important for us to fully focus on things. But at some point, what we want to do is we can alleviate a lot of things by facing those external factors and bringing them inside of us. And I know that sounds really scary to a lot of people. Bringing it inside of us opens magnificent doors, because what we're doing is when we leave it external, it's like being a dam. Okay, it's like being a dam. We're blocking that water from going anywhere. And we don't necessarily want to do that. What happens when water becomes really stagnant? Right? It can't be 100% stagnant, because there's always a little bit of wind movement or things like that. But when it becomes stagnant, it starts to grow all kinds of fungus and algae and things that make it very heavy. And sometimes those things are beneficial, sometimes they're not when we pause. But the difference is between a pause and an actual stagnation there. Now, when we move and a little bit more, what we do when we surrender, it's like opening up the dam a little bit. It's giving that water a place to go. It's moving through and moving on. And that's something that we want to keep in mind, is we want to allow things to move through us. Okay, so when we bring things in, what we're bringing in is we're actually willing to face things. We're saying, I'm not going to be afraid of you. I'm not going to fight you. I'm going to accept you, and I'm going to let you move through my life so that I can open this channel for more and more divine energy to move through me. Now, when we do this, this opens us up to an amazing channel, amazing aspect of all possibilities. So when we surrender, what we're doing is we're surrendering to flow. We're surrendering to a process that opens us to all possibility. And that's a really amazing thing. When you think about it, what if I told you, if you just kind of let go of this little thing you've been holding on to, right? Because sometimes we think, but it's a good thing, right? So I want to hold on to that. I want to hoard it. I love that word. People say, I want to hoard it. because it's a good thing, so I should hoard it so that people who are not good, won't misuse it or something like that. But in reality, when we do that, we're blocking it, and that puts us into deprivation. And we don't want to be in deprivation, we want to be in abundance. And the way that we get into that abundant flow is by surrendering, by letting go. Okay? It's kind of like saying, don't be afraid, go ahead and shoot those rapids a little bit. And yeah, there might be times it gets a little scary, and there might be times that we get a big rush of excitement in there, and there might be times that it might be just gently flowing. But the key is when we're in that flow, we're less likely to get hurt. Okay? Think about it. If something was to come at you, or if you were to run into something with your car, if your body's really rigid, you're going to get much more hurt. They always tell you that. But if your body's flexible, right, if we move, right, we have that flexibility, then we're not going to get as hurt. We see that with kids all the time. They don't try to resist it when they're falling or things like that. They don't try to stiffen up. And this is the same process with surrendering. So I want you to think about it. Whatever it is that feels like a big old block in your life right now, go ahead and take it, bring it internal, take it from that external, right? Stop fighting it and say, okay, this is what the situation is. And now I'm just going to say, this is what the situation is. Now let me turn this into a journey. Instead of being a problem in my life, let's turn it into a journey. I'm going to surrender to whatever this journey is. And the reason we want to do this is because oftentimes we just don't know what's sitting out there waiting for us to come in. And I know that can, again, sound scary to some people. But in reality, if we're being asked to surrender, if we're fighting something, we're never going to get through it fighting it. We're only going to get through it by surrendering, because when we surrender, we're going to get the answers that we're looking for. We're going to get in alignment with divine will, and we know divine will always has our best interest at mind. So with that divine will aspect, then we know that it's always going to move us into something better. It's got a bigger plan for us. So why would we want to resist getting that bigger plan? We don't. We don't want to resist that. We want to open up to those amazing gifts. What if I told you, if you just let go of this little piece of something, just surrender. And think of this again as a journey. Whatever this block or this obstacle or what's happening in your life, instead of being so set on directing it and controlling it, because that pulls us away from divine spirit, is to be set on taking it as a journey. Get up each day and say, you know what? Let's make this an amazing day. I'm going to be open to how it happens. I'm not going to force it to happen a certain way. Let's just make it an amazing day today. And focus on that. And when you do that, and then see what the day brings. We always have those tasks that we want to complete during the day, right? Instead of being so set on those, go, okay, here's my things that I'd like to get through today. But if other things come up, be open to what they have, because they might have something really amazing that refines those tasks in a better way, or gives you an easier way to do those tasks. So here we are at the full moon. We're at the pinnacle time. Stop and think, what is happening in my life? Where is my life at? What's going on with it? Just pause for it for a moment and say, okay, where's my focus? Where do I want to head? What are the seeds I'm planting, right? It's springtime. Let's plant some seeds and see what we want to manifest, because what we plant right now is going to show up within the next 6 months, and that's going to be really, really amazing. And let's say, what do we want to close out right now? I'm starting a new year, a new cycle. This is the seasonal new year. And what do I want to bring in this new year? What new life do I want to bring in? I've got all this wisdom. How do I take that wisdom and now breathe some new life into what's happening? So let's go ahead and focus on that, and take your time to do that and say, what am I willing to surrender to? I'm willing to surrender to abundance. I'm willing to surrender to divine will. I'm willing to surrender to whatever is in my highest and best interest. I'm willing to surrender to what my soul is fully aware of will further me in ways that I can't even imagine, that will bring the most amount of blessings into my life. I'm willing to surrender to the processes that will allow me to grow and expand the areas that I know are going to benefit people and are going to bring a lot of joy. I'm willing to surrender to having everything that I touch be fulfilled and rewarding and amazing. Think about some of those things. That's what I'm going to be surrendering to this cycle. Anyways, this is Jessie Ann Nichols George. Thanks so much for your time, and I'm really looking forward to bringing you another great tip next month as we continue into our new seasonal year. If you'd like to check out more of the work I do, you can certainly do that. Take a look at Jessie Ann Nichols George. That's my full name, the number 1.com. You're going to find all kinds of other video tips there, radio shows that are going on, events that I have going on, and I have some really amazing ones happening right now, and my monthly specials, and who knows what else you're going to find there. Lots of different things. Take care, and I'll see you next month. Bye-bye.